Welcome to Musicshemissed, the podcast where I try to get my best friend caught up in some of the most popular songs and artists that impact our lives. I'm Alison.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I missed all the music.
Rachel, welcome to Season 3!
Season 3. I can't believe we're already into Season 3.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Super crazy.
So, as always, for people that are new to our show, we're going to start out by just talking a little bit. I'm going to ask you a question that's seemingly unrelated. And then we'll jump into our first artist for this season. So my question for you this week is, if you could have a superpower, what superpower would you have?
Seeing into the future.
Really?
Yes. Like,
what is the word for that? Prognostication?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I want to see into the future. So I don't like surprises.
Well, then how do you handle the big reveal every week?
I know, that's why. It's part of this is one thing in my life that I allow surprises to have happen.
Okay.
I know that you like surprise parties.
Yeah.
I do not.
Well, that's why I never throw them for you.
Thank you. If you ever...
That's why.
If you ever throw a surprise party for me, you and I would not be friends anymore. No, I'm just kidding, but you would lose some notches.
Okay. So, seeing into the future. Cool.
I want to see what the future holds. I think I like Back to the Future movie because of it.
That's in the past.
Well, he's still, because of the past, it changes his future and
okay,
that kind of thing.
That's a very interesting answer.
Huh. Is that what the answer you thought it would be?
No. Well,
really?
I didn't know. We've never talked about it before.
Well, what are you going to want?
Oh, probably to fly.
Really?
Yeah.
Flying?
Yes.
You can fly now. Here's a plane ticket on Southwest.
Yeah, well... I think it would be an exhilarating experience.
Huh. But
today's artist has a superpower.
What?
Kind of.
What?
He is a guitar superpower. He is a guitar superhero. The number one, most famous, most impactful guitarist, arguably, that we could talk about.
Do I know who he is?
I don't know. That's what's so fun about this show.
Okay, I need to know. Can we do a drum roll?
We can. Here we go.
All right, here we go.
Jimi Hendrix.
Huh. I don't think I know any songs by Jimi Hendrix.
Have you heard of him before?
Doesn't he have a t-shirt company?
I'm just laughing because you make it sound like he owns a t-shirt company.
Well, yeah. Doesn't he have a brand?
No. So but his face and his name are in a lot of posters and t-shirts.
Yeah, that's his logo.
Yeah, kind of.
Wait a second. So he doesn't own a t-shirt company?
No, he does not.
So he's just a guitarist.
The best guitarist of all time, basically.
Well, I always thought he owned a t-shirt company.
All right. So, apart from that non-fact, can you think of anything else you might know about Jimi Hendrix?
Oh, from his t-shirts. He has those dreadlocks.
No.
No.
Are you thinking of Bob Marley, maybe?
Oh.
Jimi Hendrix doesn't have dreadlocks.
So he has the rainbow colors, right?
No, that's definitely Bob Marley.
Then I have no freaking clue who Jimi Hendrix is.
Okay.
And so he doesn't have a t-shirt company, and he doesn't have rainbows behind him.
Yeah, no.
And no dreadlocks. Okay.
He has more of a fro, natural hair.
Okay. Learn something new every day.
All right. Well, I will just throw out some titles. I doubt you're going to know any of them, but we do this every time.
Okay.
So, just say, yes or pass. All Along the Watchtower.
Pass.
The Wind Cries Mary.
Pass.
Purple Haze.
Oh, my friend likes the color purple. Pass.
Okay. Foxy Lady.
Oh. No.
Foxy.
No, it's like a zoot suit kind of song?
Definitely not.
Okay, then pass.
All right. Here's one I know you'll know. The Star Spangled Banner.
He wrote that song? No, he didn't.
He didn't write it, but obviously. But he did do a very famous cover of it live.
Okay, I guess I've only heard the Star Spangled Banner with the band, in like a marching band kind of thing.
Yeah, no, not like that at all.
Oh, so he doesn't have a marching band in his band?
No.
Okay. Well, I really don't know who Jimi Hendrix is.
Well, that's kind of awesome. So on a scale of 1 to 10, let's rate your current familiarity of Jimi Hendrix.
I know his name. Yeah, I would say it's 0.5 to 0.
It starts at 1.
1.
Okay. I would agree. I would agree with 1.
I'm really surprised that I don't know him.
I'm not at this point. So we have here an hour's worth of music on the Spotify playlist. It's 18 songs.
Okay.
And Jimi Hendrix is...
And everyone knows who Jimi Hendrix is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just me?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Maybe not everybody would be able to name all these songs off the bat, but yes, everybody has heard of him. He's like the most famous guitarist. So especially people that are into rock music and guitar, like you have to know. Oh, so
he's a rock star.
Yeah, so he was from the 1960s, late 1960s.
I wasn't alive back then.
Neither was I.
Oh, but you know who he is.
Yeah. So a couple things about Jimi Hendrix.
Mm-hmm.
He was really big in the late 1960s. He also was the biggest inspiration for one of your favorite artists from season 1, Freddie Mercury of Queen.
Really?
What Freddie Mercury is to voice, Jimi Hendrix is to guitar. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So think about that as we.
Freddie Mercury has a beautiful voice.
Right, and
Jimi Hendrix should be beautiful guitarist.
Highly skilled.
Highly skilled.
Highly skilled. Okay.
Okay. Does anyone call him James?
No.
Oh.
And the other thing is that he is from Seattle.
I like Seattle.
I know you do. And I know, you didn't like Nirvana and they were from Seattle, blah, blah, blah. But maybe this will help redeem Seattle a little bit for you in their contributions to musical history.
Interesting.
So for the next time you go to Seattle, there is a statue of him there. Huh. There is a park named for him there.
Really? He's that big?
Yes. I saved this artist for the start of season 3 because I wanted to start us off with a really big name.
How have I missed this much?
Because you've missed everything. So you've got some homework this week.
I am going to listen to your Spotify playlist that you've created for 1 hour per day. And then we're going to group up after a week, but it's going to be just a few seconds for you listeners.
Yep.
And I will give you my take on Jimi Hendrix because it will be completely clear because I have no clue about him.
I'm really excited to get your take on this very famous musician that you've never heard.
I've never heard of him.
Are you ready?
I am. Let's do it.
See you in a week.
All right.
Welcome back. Rachel, you spent the last week listening to guitar legend Jimi Hendrix.
Yes.
How did it go? General impressions.
My general impression at first was I didn't like him at first.
Okay.
And I think mainly because I'm used to more of a cleaner sound.
Okay.
And I felt that he didn't give that clean of a sound. But as I continued to listen and I continued to get to know him and his music, he does have a clean sound in some ways. But the ways that he doesn't have a clean sound, I needed to learn to be okay with it and it just be part of him. Is that the best way to answer it?
Sure. So maybe his style, not the way that he played the guitar, but the way the guitar sounds through the amplifiers, through the effects, maybe it was a little off-putting because you're not used to that style. Yeah,
and I think also, so he was around in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, in the 60s, right.
And so, his music wasn't recorded in our current recording studios. And so,
no, that's true.
And so the sound of it, I think, is a little bit different because of that?
Yes and no. What you are hearing is his choice. Because we've studied lots of artists that recorded in the 60s that don't have maybe, quote, a dirty sound, right? So it's the effects that you're hearing, the way the guitar sounds is not, maybe with the live recordings it is, but the studio recordings, those are choices of what the guitar sounds like.
Okay. Yeah, at first I didn't like him.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit more.
Well, let's talk about the guitar, because that's obviously what we're focusing
Yes.
on. And I know you have a lot of questions.
So, yeah, you're right. I do have a lot of questions because I really have never heard Jimi Hendrix until now.
Right.
What I've learned through like season 1 and season 2 of musicshemissed, Michael Jackson is the king of pop.
Yes.
Madonna is the queen of pop.
Yes.
You told me on the first half we were listening that he's really known for his guitar stuff. Does this make him the king of guitar? Does he have that title, or is that title even given? Or
I don't believe that title is given.
Oh.
But people would say, yeah, he's the greatest.
Greatest.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Even other really great guitar players say he's the greatest.
Really?
Yes.
Will he? And so he will even say it himself, right?
No, he would not say that.
Why
he was
not?
very self-deprecating. Humility.
Okay.
I would say that would be my primary answer.
So when you say he would say this, that means he's dead?
Got some bad news for you, Rachel.
Oh no, is he really dead?
Yeah.
So he can't like come over to my house and play?
No. I'm sorry.
So how did he die?
It was drug related.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Bummer.
It is, because he died really young. He was only 27.
Really?
And at the height, of his career and his skill, and he was
So wait a second. He was
creative.
doing all this guitar stuff in his 20s?
Yeah, well, he's been playing since, this is a good time to talk about his history, because he's been playing since he was a teenager.
Okay.
And always loved the guitar, was obsessed with the guitar. I read, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I read that, like, he had a ukulele first, right? That maybe that he found or something, and would, like, learn songs, like, one string just up and down, just by ear, teaching himself, because he so wanted to play.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he started really young, and then when did he get, like, really, really popular and enough to, like, I don't know, cover the Star Spangled Banner?
Well, his skills developed really quickly. So he started out as a guitarist, like a background guitarist for other big names. Like
who? Would I recognize any of them?
You would not. Most people would. By 1964, Rachel, he was playing behind giant names like Sam Cooke, B.B. King, Little Richard, Wilson Pickett. Huge names for this time period in this genre.
I've recognized B.B. King and the Richard guy.
And Little Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah. So big names of the time.
But I don't know any of their music, so.
We will get there.
Okay.
They're on the list.
So if he played with them, so did they teach him the guitar? Or this was all self-taught?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. So it's not like his dad was a guitarist and he taught him?
No, in fact, I believe that his dad did not want him to play the guitar, which is why it took him so long to get one.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so this may be a controversial question, so kind of go with me here on this.
Okay.
So I can tell that Jimi Hendrix isn't as standoutish as his guitar technique, and that may be a little bit of the clean and the dirty part that we were talking about before.
Okay.
But as I was continuing to listen to him this week, I could tell he's very talented in guitar. He's probably the best guitarist I've heard all my life, and music life, which isn't that much. But do you think other people agree with that in the sense of his talent and technique and how he stands out?
So,
do you understand what I'm saying?
I think I do.
Okay.
So I will totally disagree with you. He is technical master, and he developed things that people hadn't done before and that people are still doing now. So I think that just goes to show, I think that's you confusing the kind of the not bright, clean sound with not having good technique.
See, this is what I'm thinking as I'm trying to imagine him playing his songs.
Yes.
I don't see him working off of sheet music in my mind.
Well, that doesn't mean that you're not so that's another question, is what's technique? Could he sit down and read guitar music, printed out on sheet music? Probably not. But when you're talking about technique, specific skills of a way to produce a specific sound that you want, then yes, he's highly skilled.
And so, as he was performing, in the studio versus on stage, or all that kind of stuff, he would be able to do exactly the same thing over and over again the same way, as in like he had control over the guitar.
He certainly has control, yes. So I think maybe what you're hearing is you're hearing notes be like, going up and down.
And he planned to do that.
That is purposeful. That's totally purposeful. Yeah. So that's why I think that maybe it's for you a style thing.
Yeah.
But he is gifted at those techniques. So he actually invented some different techniques. One of them is, and you know, since you play piano, that's a technical thing where you have to hit that key, and when you hit that key, it always makes the same note.
Correct.
And on the guitar, because you can play with the string and pull on the string, you have more nuance. And so, like one thing that he would do is sliding and bending, like sliding chords and bending strings, and that affects the sound. He also would like take a standard chord, and when you're holding a guitar like on the neck and you bend your thumb around, you can use your thumb to play on the bottom on the E string. And like he did that and used that to like embellish a chord and like add extra notes and extra depth to chords.
Okay.
That people weren't known for doing that at this time. He would mix up like the rhythm piece, and you'll hear that a lot in those songs where there's like a rhythm going, and then he leaves that rhythm and he goes into like a more lead guitar kind of solo thing. He was very forward in that skill. So,
and I think for me, like, I'm not a great guitar player, but I have one and I do pull it out every once in a while, but I'm more of
you're strumming,
but I'm not like
chords,
doing what he's doing in the sense. And I even pulled out my guitar this week and tried, and that did not go well, might I add. But so he was planning all that stuff.
Yes.
And so my next question is, so can people really mimic what he does in the sense of really accomplishing it? Or is there really no one in this world that can really cover Jimi Hendrix?
I would say that countless people are inspired by and mimic to a certain degree. Obviously, the best guitarist doesn't just mimic what somebody else does, but makes it their own. And that is what Jimi did. And that's why he's so great, is because he was inspired by others, but he was inventing and creating and doing things that nobody else was doing.
So I'm kind of curious.
Okay.
You are a guitar player.
I am.
Can you play his stuff?
No.
Have you tried?
No, not really.
Why not?
Well, first of all, I'm not very good. So there's that problem. But, you know, when I was a kid, like, the Beatles were my thing. Like, that's why I got into guitar. And I think maybe if I'd been a huge Hendrix fan when I was 14, then I would be a much better guitar player than I am now. But also because, you know, I have a 12-string acoustic. Doesn't really lend itself to the same kind of style as, you know, Hendrix's electric guitar.
So tell me a little bit about his guitars.
Okay.
Are they like special guitars, or are they just the same guitars that you can like get at a guitar store and stuff?
So the kind of guitar that he played on the most is a Fender Stratocaster, which is a really famous common guitar.
Oh, common.
I did have one in high school.
I think I was given one. No, it was a bass. Never mind. That's different.
But so the Stratocaster itself, I mean, it's a good guitar. His was special because he's left-handed, and he plays it upside down, kind of like Paul McCartney. He did the same thing. So turning the guitar over, stringing it backwards.
See, I'm left-handed, but I will play the guitar right-handed.
Right, and I mean, most people, like I play violin too, and I'm not left-handed, but even left-handed violinists, you know, instruments. Most of the instruments like that, no matter which hand you are, you play the strings with your left and pull the strings with your right. But the few guitarists back then just decided to do it their own way, and Jimi Hendrix was one of them.
So let me talk to you a little bit about my favorites, likes and dislikes, and some of the things that kind of stood in the middle.
Can we start with the ones that you didn't like? Because I always like to end on the high note.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
So I disliked Red House.
Okay. Can you talk about why?
Thought it was too much guitar. And
wait. Too much guitar.
And I know that's odd to say about Jimi Hendrix, but though people don't say it.
All of it is guitar.
Yes, but there's the smoothness in the jazz of the drums. Like, I was trying to listen to the drums as well.
Okay.
But then his guitars was just too much. It was like an imbalance, at least in my thoughts. So I thought the guitar was too much in Red House, especially in comparison to the drums in that song.
That's interesting. Red House is a very traditional blues, 12-bar blues song. And I thought when you said you didn't like it, it's just because it was blues.
I'm okay with blues, I think.
Okay, so it wasn't...
I'm not sure.
That you just didn't like the way the guitar sounded in that song.
With the guitar, with the drums.
Oh, okay.
Now, One Rainy Wish, again, I know this sounds weird, but I think there was too much guitar.
This is such a weird complaint.
And...
Okay.
There was too much guitar, too much drums, and the delivery of the lyrics. But I liked the lyrics choice of words that he had in that song.
Okay, you just didn't like the song.
No.
It's okay to just say I don't like it.
No, I did not.
Okay. What are some of the ones? Is there any trend that you noticed that you didn't like in the
that
ones
was
you
one
didn't
thing
like?
that I was trying to figure out throughout the time that I was listening to it, because the other song that I disliked was the Star Spangled Banner.
Let's talk about that one, because that is what I'm very curious. What about it you didn't like? And
I am a traditionalist.
Aha.
And so I didn't like how there was too much guitar. There's more there's just more Jimi Hendrix versus Star Spangled Banner in that song.
Oh, I see. So
you see what I'm saying?
You're kind of saying that he was overshadowing the song?
Yes, where I would have rather him be closer to the real song and traditional approach of that song, opposed to putting too much Jimi Hendrix guitar in it. But he is still very talented in my eyes, but it didn't make me hate the Star Spangled Banner in other songs. It's just I didn't like how he did it in that song.
So that version of the Star Spangled Banner was famously played at Woodstock.
That's that big concert.
Yeah.
Concert in a field thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
Lots of famous people played at Woodstock, and he was the last one.
Oh.
So my question for you is, did you find it to just not be your preference, or did you find it disrespectful?
No, I didn't find it disrespectful.
Okay.
I just didn't. I'm a very traditional type of person, and the delivery of how he delivered, I didn't think it was disrespectful. I just thought it was I really like the traditional way of performing it, and I just didn't. I would have rather hear him more traditionally. Okay.
I was just wondering because as I was reading about this song, some of the sources that I read were talking about that, it was patriotic and fine. And other sources were saying it was a protest because it's Vietnam and it's, distortion.
Was that his purpose of?
Well, that's the thing is I don't think so.
He never said it before.
No.
Okay.
But that is some people's interpretation of it.
See.
And that's why I wondered if you found it disrespectful. But
I wouldn't think it would be disrespectful.
I didn't find
merely
it that way.
Because when she mentioned a couple minutes ago that he was the last one to play.
Mm-hmm.
So this doesn't age me, but it does age me. In the sense of now when we watch TV shows or TV news broadcasting, it just goes on. There's still shows at 3 o'clock in the morning, where before at 11 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, whenever the shows are done, they show the Star Spangled Banner, and then the network is just sleeping until the morning network of...
You are aging us.
And I remember when we would watch TV and we were allowed to stay up. And I remember being really dorky and wanting to stand at attention when the Star Spangled Banner was played. And so
that is not surprising.
Maybe that's why he wanted to play the Star Spangled Banner at Woodstock as the last one to perform, as more of a respect. And so that's why I would question why people would really think it was disrespectful, because really,
probably
if he was doing it that way, it was respectful.
Probably because of the style.
And, yes. Okay, I can see that part, but I just don't agree with him.
Okay, cool. Well, then we are on the same page.
So I want to talk a little bit about what's in the middle.
Okay, which songs?
Yeah, it was just not a like or dislike, but Bold as Love.
That is probably my favorite one on this playlist.
So that song specifically reminds me of Black Sabbath.
Okay.
And I know we had a week of learning about Black Sabbath, and I sort of liked it, but I didn't love the end of it. So my question is...
Oh, you mean after the song kind of ends and then it comes back in with that solo?
So who came first? Black Sabbath, Jimi Hendrix, or did Jimi Hendrix teach Black Sabbath? Are they friends?
So Black Sabbath was around at the same time that Jimi Hendrix was.
Okay.
But Jimi Hendrix comes first. I mean, Jimi Hendrix starts earlier.
Okay.
And definitely influenced Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath became a band in the late 60s, but they really didn't come into their own till after Hendrix's death, which was in August 1970. So.
Okay. So the Bold as Love song, it just reminded me of Black Sabbath. Yeah, and so it wasn't a like or a dislike, but it just reminded me of that, and so it became that song that was like in the middle.
Okay, well that's all right.
Now I do have some favorites.
Let's
and I do have some likes.
Okay.
So Purple Haze is what I liked. And,
really?
And Foxy Lady I liked.
Why?
So Purple Haze, I really liked the guitar in that one, and then also I liked two specific lines. One about kissing the sky.
Yes.
And something about spin on me. Like, just his choice of lyrics. It was just...
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Excuse me while I kiss the sky and spin on me. Like, I just...
Those stood out
Those
to you.
lyrics stood out to me, which made me like the song even more.
So Purple Haze is a great song. Very, very famous. I would say it's probably one of his most famous ones.
Really?
But it also features another... one of his guitar techniques that we were talking about. He kind of invented a chord that people just like call the Hendrix chord.
Really?
And
they
it's
call
like
the
a
Hendrix
seventh
chord
with like a ninth on top of it. And I am not like a music theory person all that well to explain what it is.
Okay.
But it pops up all throughout his music, and it's an augmentation of a popular chord that was in the music that the artist that we mentioned earlier that he was playing like background for. He kind of took a popular chord that you find in those guys' songs and like adds a little ninth to it and makes it his. And so Purple Haze has a good example of that chord.
Interesting. That's really cool. And then Foxy Lady, I like the guitar, but also like the drums in this song. So this brings up this question. Who was his drummer? Was it the same drummer throughout his music career, or did he kind of use different drummers for this song or this part of his recording history and things like that? Because I really think that song, he really knows who his guitarist, he really knows who his drummer is, and I can see that relationship being built in that song, which I like that.
So he played in a couple of different bands, and then he also played more solo. So I don't know very much about his drummers, but I would assume it was different ones.
Okay.
So Rachel, are there any other songs you want to talk about?
There's one other one that I think you will like the comment of this, or maybe not. I'm not sure.
Carry on.
So I like the song which Jimi Hendrix did is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Okay, that is a cover.
Yes, it's a cover, so it's not his original, but I actually like Jimi Hendrix version more than I like the Beatles version. And I kind of like...
That's really interesting.
I was like listening to it over again, and then I also re-listened to the Beatles version of that song and just kind of trying to figure out why I liked it. I think the reason why I liked it so much is because I could tell and notice more of Jimmy's personality come in his interpretation of that song. And I like that. Well, I liked getting to know him as an artist, as a musician.
My feelings are not hurt that you prefer Jimi Hendrix version. And in fact, Paul McCartney was there when Jimmy opened that show with Sgt. Pepper's. Now that album had come out, the Beatles album, had come out 3 days before. So in that time, Jimmy had heard the album and decided to cover the title track for the show.
Was it because he knew Paul was in the audience and he was like, hey, shout out to my friend Paul?
I don't think so.
He just really liked the song, too.
He really liked the song. And Paul took it as a huge honor.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because the Beatles and... you know, the Rolling Stones and Eric Clapton and all these other guitarists.
Who's Eric Clapton?
Oh, my God. We'll get to him. All these other guitarists that were around at this
Is he
time.
Good?
Yes, he's good.
Okay.
All the other artists that were around at this time loved Jimmy and were amazed by him. And so Paul McCartney thought it was a great honor that Jimmy covered
and then
song.
put his little twist to it. And so, and I think that's why I just like that song and his cover more than I liked the Beatles, because you could tell about his personality and you could tell about who he was as an artist. So it was fun to learn about him through that song.
What's another song you really liked?
So I have 2 songs that were my top 2 favorites.
Okay.
Where I honestly, I would want to just like kind of not push the repeat button, but really push the repeat button.
Push that repeat button. What songs did you like?
Is Wind Cries Mary.
The Wind Cries Mary is very famous.
I really like the smoothness to guitar in this one. Especially the first full minute, like the first full minute of the song. I really like that part. It just made me want to push repeat.
It's a nice one.
And then the second one, I liked Drifting. I like the smoothness to it again. And this song specifically made me, and it did. It made me want to close my eyes as I was listening to that song.
I like that song because it's lyrically so simple. It's so tender and lovely. I think it's nice that you kind of picked those 2. I think those are 2 really, I wouldn't call them like stereotypical of his style, but I think that they're really nice songs that show the breadth of his ability and his work.
Yeah.
What did you think about his singing? Did that play any part in the songs that you liked or didn't like?
I think he's a better guitarist than a singer.
Well, he would agree with you.
Okay, good. And I'm guessing other people would, or maybe they wouldn't.
Yeah, no, sure.
I just think, like, for an example, Queen, I could hear him and his talents with his voice.
Well, right. Well, that's
where for Jimi Hendrix, I could hear the talent of his guitar playing.
Analogy time. Freddie Mercury to singing equals Jimi Hendrix to guitar.
Gotcha. Okay. Exactly.
And fun little tidbit, on the album Access Bold as Love, there's a little liner note in the back cover that says, quote, Jimi Hendrix writes his own songs and almost sings them. So he felt he was not super fond of his voice either.
But he's a great guitarist. I will conclude with that. So.
Well, you have joined the ranks of everyone else.
And honestly, I know I'm shocked that I've never heard of Jimi Hendrix before.
Why are you still shocked?
Well, because after this week of listening and how talented he is and how influential he is, then I'm just like, really, Rachel, I missed that much music?
You did. Well, before we conclude, we need to know your rating. What did you think about Jimi Hendrix? I mean, you came into this with a pure 1. You thought he was Bob Marley, honestly. And, you know, now...
I thought he had a t-shirt company, too.
Yes. And now you have, you know, heard a good smattering of some of his hits and his skill. And I'm curious what, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being garbage and 10 being great, what you thought.
6.5 to 6.75.
So a positive rating.
It is a positive rating, but I wouldn't, like, I do like a couple of his songs, but some of those songs that I just didn't like, and then also the cleanness and dirtiness stuff became a factor.
Style.
Yeah, the style. So that's why I wouldn't give him like an 8 or a 9.
Well, that's okay.
But I wouldn't give him like a 4 or 2. I would give him a 6.5.
So basically you're saying you are in the middle and you appreciate what you heard. And there are a couple songs that you would probably listen to again.
On repeat, of course.
But you're not going to go out of your way.
Exactly.
And honestly, that's totally fine.
Were you expecting me to do like a 6.5, or were you expecting me higher or lower? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I was thinking that you would appreciate the talent. And that you would like some of it and not like some of it. Because at this point, I'm starting to figure out that you have, like everyone, musical preferences that you're developing. And I guessed that he wouldn't quite fit all of your musical preference, you know, checklist.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think because you're such a good friend of mine, you know me
I'm learning more about
and
you
now you're...
every week.
Yes. We're having fun.
So if you, our audience, would like to follow along with Rachel's journey in discovering her musical preferences, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And
rate us on iTunes as well.
And subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you can check out all of these Spotify playlists by searching for Spotify:/user:/music she missed and clicking follow. So, Rachel, I think this is a great start to season 3, and I can't wait for us to delve more into new genres and artists and get to see you make connections and discover.
Like, I'm so excited that I got to know Jimi Hendrix, like, totally fresh. I've just never really heard him ever.
We got that.
And it's kind of cool to start off season 3 that way. You know, so I'm like curious of what else am I going to be introduced to.
I can't wait.
It'll be fun.
Well, thank you so much for listening.
Thanks so much for listening and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.